Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for joining us for another workshop Wednesday. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me. Just type in the chat yes if you can. Good morning, Randy. It sounds like you can, so that's good. All right. We just actually came from a Ninja Trader sales presentation, so there are probably some new people in the room here, and I just want to do a quick poll to see what are we working with. So if you don't mind, just answer those questions in the poll, and we can get an idea of how to custom tailor today's workshop. Because as usual, so those of you that are new, the whole point of this workshop that we run every week is really for you guys to answer your questions and have us step through, issues and things that you want to implement in BloodHound. So sometimes we have a regularly scheduled agenda of things to do, and sometimes we just let you guys kind of run the show and ask questions, and we that always takes precedence over what we have planned. So again, this is not a sales webinar of any sort. It's really it's a workshop, and the idea is interactivity and try to and learning the software as we try to learn it all together. One thing we did find that's a little bit odd that we could never figure out with GoToMeeting is that we can't figure out how to share the chat screen. So unfortunately, only we see it when you type in there. But and if you have any sort of questions that we believe everybody can benefit from, we can hit a button and I guess share it with everybody. But other than that, I just want to mention real quick here an update for those of you guys that are waiting for 1.1. Some of you guys are already on the beta program, which is just an opt-in thing. It's optional. Just if you want to test the new features that we're coming out with. We did warn you guys originally that if you're using basically a beta version of our software, that we might change the file format on you, and it might break your past templates. We've now got to the point where sometime last week that we've basically locked down future file format changes, so that will not happen going forward. So what we're doing is we're just kind of waiting on a certification to complete from a third-party company of our software, and once that is done, then we will release the. So we're literally just kind of waiting and sitting for them to finish it. Once that's done, we'll be releasing BloodHound 1.1, which is the next version, out as a public beta, and the public beta will be freely downloadable to everyone, trial users and paid users alike. And give it a month or two, and we'll see. If there's no show-stopping bugs in there, then we'll roll it over as a official release. But the same warning that we had no longer applies. So if we do make changes in the file format, we will properly account for them, and so it shouldn't break your file templates going forward. You shouldn't have those problems. We'll have it all kind of figured out in the back. So my apologies to those people that if it did affect you. I'm just letting you know going forward that will no longer be the case, and it will be safe to use it. Let me just quickly go through so many questions we got here. Edwin's asking, any way to have it not fire continuous trades if using a slope condition? Yeah, absolutely. Edwin, actually, Zach can probably cover that right in the webinar. It's maybe one of the first things we could do. It looks like, actually, if you don't mind, Edwin, we do have some new people in here, and Zach, I think I maybe changed my mind here because we have, it looks like about 30% of us, 30% are new, and so maybe Zach it'd be beneficial just for the benefit of the new people, just to go over that stock signal system first, just so that everybody's kind of in lockstep when we do answer Edwin's question. And if we don't get to it, we should have no problems with that. But if we don't run out of time, make sure we'll address it, answering through an email or something like that. But anyway, just the long and short of how to do that, by the way, is in SI Raven you can sort of configure to only take one. You can restrict it so you don't take multiple trades in the same direction at the same time. And if you're using 1.1, there's actually a new function though that we've got as well that's called signal blocker that will allow you to basically cut off duplicate signals like that. And so if we've got time, we'll show that. Morton's asking, what should we see on the screen right now? Right now, it should just be the poll. Let me close the poll real quick. I can even share that result there. So anyway, let's see if I can throw it back on my screen. It should be just a disclaimer up there at the moment. Just if you don't see a disclaimer up there, type in just type in the chat and let us know, and because it should be up there now. Release the hounds, Randy says. Yep. Okay, so I guess that's all I've got to say for my introduction here, and I'm going to pass the mic over to Zach, who will begin with the workshop.
All right, great. Thanks, Jeremy. So I think, Jeremy, you need to pass the presentation to me.
All right, sorry, give me one second.
Oh, hold on a second. Sorry, I'm showing up as the wrong name.
That's okay. I'll
so let me just switch it over to me.
There you go. Okay.
There we go. Great. Put it on the right screen here. All right. If you guys could let me know if you can see my chart, I would appreciate it. So, do you guys see my chart? All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. All right. So as Jeremy was saying, we just finished doing a sales webinar. So we want to. So for you veterans in the room, we like to keep this one kind of simple. And as always, your questions take precedence. And so just for the the new guys in the room here, we'll show some basics. How to get BloodHound installed, and how to just get started with BloodHound. So if you have the control center here, with NinjaTrader, the way you add on software, the way you install software into NinjaTrader, just go down to File, and then Utilities, and then Import NinjaScript. And we just got to wait for the window to come up. And then an open window will pop up and allow you to go find wherever you decided to download BloodHound. Most likely you probably decided to download BloodHound in this download folder, right? So then you can just go find your file, click on it, and hit open, and that will import BloodHound for you. And so then once you have BloodHound on your chart, let's see, let me start with this chart here. So I'm going to take BloodHound off my chart. So this is the chart that I was doing during the partner webinar with NinjaTrader. So if we go and open up our indicator window on the chart, our list of indicators, and BloodHound is down in the S's. So if you jump down to the S's, scroll down a little further, and it's under SI. SI stands for Shark Indicators. And you'll see the BloodHound on there. All right, so simply just double click on it or hit the new button. All right, add it down to your window, and you can just click OK when you're ready, but let me kind of go through some of the interface settings here for BloodHound. So you can see we have a template section here, so if you want you can go ahead and load up a template that you might already have saved. So if you already have a template saved, you can just quickly load it up from here. The racing stripes. The racing stripes, a buddy of ours kind of gave us that nickname for this term, racing stripes, our buddy Noel. And that's the shaded background. So when BloodHound is giving you a signal and it shades the whole background of the chart, you know, clearly marking your signals, you know, this turns that shading on and off. That's what the racing stripes are. And then you could also have BloodHound give you an audio alert as well if you want to turn that on, you know, and then just go and select the file. So you can go, as you can see, it defaulted me to my NinjaTrader Sounds folder. So these are all the NinjaTrader folders right here. Go pick a audio sound that you want, so that way you can use any kind of custom sound that you may want. We're big fans of Big Mike's trading forum, and if I remember correctly, I think there's a couple of sound packs up there. Next thing, you see there's a signals section. So probably I could explain this better once I have some BloodHound on the chart and you can see some signals showing, but it would make more sense. But let me kind of give my best explanation here without seeing it. So compare long and short confidence. So if you have if your system is giving you a long output and a short output at the same time, you can have BloodHound can do a comparison and make sure that, like for a long signal, that your longs are 2 times greater than your shorts in order to actually send a buy signal. So that way you can make sure that because some systems will just have both a long and a short on the same bar, and so you can make sure that either your long signal or your short signal is a certain percentage greater than the other. And so once again, once I get BloodHound on the chart, I'll show you visually so it's easier to understand. And then the threshold values. So this is basically determines when the racing stripes occur or when a buy or sell signal occurs and is shown on the chart by showing the threshold values. So let me just add this on, click OK, and then I'll come back into it. And let's see, let me just quickly throw a solver on here. That'll give me some outputs here. Use the change in slope because that defaults to putting both long and shorts on the same bar. So okay, so you can see here. Let me mark an example, like right here. Oops. Let me draw this arrow again. Like right here on this bar, you can see there's a long output and a short output on the same bar. So if I bring up NinjaTrader's indicator interface, and if I turn this comparison on, essentially what that's going to do is it sets up a ratio of 1.5 to 1. So let me set my threshold values a little lower so that I'm actually getting a racing stripe on that bar. Alright, so you can see now that there's on this bar, so hopefully you can see the green line here. Let me adjust that as well. so it's easier to see. I'll just set it to white. I'll set this one to white. Okay, so these white lines represent the threshold values. So BloodHound's output has to exceed that threshold value before it will paint the background of the chart. And in a sense, that's what gives you the visual signal, that your system is telling you to take a trade. So this comparison, what this is going to do is right now, this is going to make sure that my long signal is 1.5 times greater than my short signal before it'll paint the racing stripe. So let me change this to 3 and hit apply. And so you can see that on this bar that I have marked, the racing stripe is gone. And that's because the long signal is less than 3 times greater than the short signal. Right? So I set my comparison ratio to 3. So the long signal has to be 3 times greater than the short signal in order to paint this racing stripe. So obviously you can see here, on these bars over here, where all we have is a long signal or a long confidence and there's no short, obviously the longs are 3 times greater than the shorts because there is no short value coming out. So that's what this comparison does. Now if I turn this off, if I hit apply, now you can see that the racing stripe, this bar is shaded once again because BloodHound's not doing any kind of comparison. So that's what that does. So let me set my thresholds back here to kind of their standard. So just to kind of go explain a little bit what the thresholds are for. You can see that BloodHound gives you the ability to give you an analog type output, right? So you can vary the output value of your long and short confidence. We call these confidence because each of your solvers evaluates the strength of your conditions for going long and the strength of your conditions going short. And so that that kind of quote strength value, it's a confidence, what we call a confidence value. And so you can see here there's an analog type output. And so essentially what 8.8 is 0.8 mathematically is also the same as 80%. So what we're looking for is an 80% confidence from either the longs or the shorts in order to give us a signal. So if we want to constrain these signals a little more, I can require a confidence of say 95%. I can change these to 95%. Hit apply, and you can see my threshold lines, jump up to the 90% level, and these bars here. Hopefully, you guys can see my mouse. These bars over here, the output of this BloodHound right now is 100% or 1. So even though I have my threshold set to 95%. Right now BloodHound's giving me a 100% output confidence, and so that's why we're getting the racing stripe. And this is also what's also deemed as fuzzy logic as well, right? So having BloodHound being able to analyze your conditions with a percentage, that's essentially a fuzzy logic type of analysis, and so that's what creates a lot of the power behind BloodHound, is being able to vary the confidence. So you're not just looking for a hard, true or false, my condition is met, but you get a varying condition that's met. So that way, say like you have 5 conditions, and you only need 4 out of the 5 conditions to occur in order to take the trade. So BloodHound, because it can analyze your conditions, with on a percentage basis or with fuzzy logic, BloodHound can easily say, okay, 4 out of the 5 conditions are met. Let's take the trade. So, all right, let me click OK, and now I'll kind of introduce you to BloodHound's interface here. So we click on the button up top, and that opens up the interface. Let me slide it over. And as a good working practice, the first thing you want to do is you want to name your template. All right, so BloodHound will save everything that you build in a template file. It's kind of the same thing as when you right-click on the chart and you go to templates, and you can load a chart template or save a chart template. BloodHound uses the same type of system. So we can see there's no name up here. I can hit the change button to change the name, or in this case, give it a name. And in this case, since this is one of our weekly workshops, I'm going to cheat and just kind of scroll down here and pick a previous workshop and just change the date on this. So there's today's date. Save it, and then we can see, and then we can see the names saved up there, and also you can see the button on the chart reflects the template name that we have loaded as well. So you can load up multiple instances of BloodHound on your chart. BloodHound is just think of it as, even though it looks sophisticated, you can just think of it as an indicator. That's how it runs inside of NinjaTrader, as an indicator. Just like any indicator, you can load up multiple instances of the same indicator, if you choose to get that fancy or that sophisticated. All right. Let's see. I see a couple of questions coming in here, so let me kind of read through these real quick and see if I can address any of these right now. Let's see. So Gary's asking, could I give some examples of how the confidence comparison example would help build a strategy? Off the top of my head, I really can't think of any. In what I've seen and things that I've done, using the comparison, let me open this back up here. Yeah, using this compare long and short, if you turn it on, I really haven't seen too many cases. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of any real cases where that's actually really ever been needed. So, I'm sorry, Gary, I can't really think of anything. But, essentially just know that, if you're building a system and you see that, sure, you're getting a long confidence out and you're getting a short confidence out at the same time, but you're not getting a shaded background, that might be an instance where you'll need to look at that comparison value and turn it off or adjust it, as needed. So, yeah, sorry, Gary, I can't give you a better answer. Let's see, Morton here. Question: I have 9 SMAs. 9 SMAs. He gives some periods. It equals 3 time frames. I want them in a set order. Times 2 equals long and short. However, these 9 should show on chart as 3 lines or in a drawing object used on Ninja 7. Let's see, SDOM, auto trading, etc. Let's see, let me reread that question there. So I have 9 SMAs equals 3 time frames. Okay, I see what you're doing. I want them in a set order times 2. You want them in a set order times 2 equals long and short. However, these 9, let's see, should show on the chart as 3 lines, or in a drawing object. Let's see, Morton. I think I can, yeah, I can show you how to do that in BloodHound if I understand you correctly. You know, BloodHound isn't going to draw your SMAs for you. Essentially, however you have your chart set up, you know, probably is going to be the best for visually seeing your 9 SMAs. But what BloodHound can do is, if I open up this interface, and so let's see, let me adjust this SMA here. All right, so there's 7. Adjust that to 7. And you know, if I'm understanding, if I'm reading your question correctly, you have 7, 14, and 21. And so I guess you're trying to mimic higher time frames in like multiples of 2. So if you have an SMA, let me add another SMA on here. So if you have an SMA 14 and your SMA 21, essentially like what you're creating, let me turn this guy off. So essentially what it looks like what you're doing is you have your 7 on your default time frame, and then you have a 14, which is kind of creating a multiple of 2 higher time frame, and then your 21 period is like creating a 3 times multiple time period. Okay, so 1, 5, and okay, so Morton just replied back. So he's got 3 SMAs on a 1 minute, 5 minute, and 60 minute. All right, well, let's switch this over to a 1 minute. And let me open up the interface, and I'll show you how you can do this quite easily with BloodHound here. I'm going to get rid of that solver. So if you want all 3 SMAs on your 3 different time periods, then let's just set these up. So let's just say you're just simply looking at the slope of each of your SMAs. So let's set this one up to be your SMA 7. Let me just change the period here to 7. All right, I can take this solver, I can copy it, and I can copy it again. So I have 3 copies. Now all I have to do is change the period. Change this to 21. And as good practice, I should change the names here. So that way I know exactly what these each solver is analyzing, which indicator. All right. And you know, so as you can see, just on the default time frame being the one on the chart, you can see that when everything is in agreement here, we're getting our racing stripes indicating that, right? So we can see that we're having a short output from one of the solvers. As we can see, the 7-period SMA is sloping down, so that's what's giving us the short there. And so we only have 2 of the SMAs sloping up, and so therefore the output, let me slide this over, and we can look at the chart marker here. So we can see the output of BloodHound is 0.66, or 2/3. That's because 2 of the SMAs are sloping up, and 1 of the SMAs is sloping down, so we have 1/3. Let me slide this over a little bit. There we go. And so we have a short of 1/3 for that one solver that's sloping down. So I have my default time frame set up. So now if you want to do the same analysis on your higher time frames, I can click the chart button, and we'll set this to a 5-minute. And I can click the chart button again and set the next one to a 60-minute. Right, and then next I can copy each of these solvers again. And actually, just for the sake of this looking nice and pretty, I'll copy them in order. Alright, let me move it down. Now I'm going to copy them again. And I'll move these down to the 60-minute time frame. And all right, so I have the same analysis on 3 different time frames. Now, because I loaded up a alternate time frame, or an extra time frame, what I need to do is close the interface. You'll see down here there's a message box here that says I need to press F5 because I have to refresh the chart, so that way NinjaTrader will load those other time frames. So it's going to hit F5, and now you can see that the output of BloodHound is stepping now in much smaller increments. So essentially, since I have 9 solvers now, each of these little steps is going to be 1/9 for each solver. So let's see, let me take a look. Morton's trying to kind of give me some clarity here in his question. Great. All right, so Morton loves it. Thank you, Morton. I appreciate that. So I guess I did read into your question correctly. So, all right, good, Morton. Thank you. I wasn't sure if I was reading your question correctly, so good. Let me get through that. Okay, so let me jump down to the next question, and I'm clearing some of these questions out here. Let's see. Morton, just to kind of add to this, I would, just when you're building your system, it's always good, basically how we build systems, we put indicators on the chart, and we visually analyze what the indicator is doing, and that's kind of how we come up with our systems to look for patterns in our, basically we're looking for visual patterns, so building a system is very visual, so I'd recommend that, while you're putting together your BloodHound system, that you do have your other time frame charts open on there. just to kind of help you build your system, and also just to kind of keep you trying to think of a better word, but I keep thinking, honest. Honest, this isn't the right word, but just to help you visually see, what the indicators are doing on their other time frames, and that way you can, compare it back to BloodHound's output, just to make sure that what you're seeing on the higher time frames, that BloodHound is giving you, what you're expecting back on the higher time frames. So that way, essentially what that does is that kind of helps you. So if you have the 5-minute chart up, there we go, here's the 5-minute chart up, and so if I had my SMAs on this chart, then you could visually take a look at what's happening on the 5-minute chart, and make sure that BloodHound is giving you the type of output that you're expecting, just so you can compare your oops, let's see, that's right, I'm used to working with black charts, so let me change the color on this. Right, so that way you can see on the 5-minute chart, the slope of the SMA is up, and that way you can compare to what's going on with BloodHound here. Now, and another good practice with BloodHound is, as you add your solvers on here, that you just work with one solver at a time. So what I did is I turned off all the other solvers, and so the only solver that we see on the chart, so BloodHound is only showing the output for just this one solver, and all the other solvers are turned off. And now what I can do is I can bring the chart back up, and I can put my crosshairs in global mode and put this one in global mode, and then I can do some comparisons. So we can see right here, actually let me jump back here, make this a little smaller. So we can see right in here, if you look on the 5-minute chart, you can see the SMA is sloping down and BloodHound is giving us a short output. So we can see that this solver is set up correctly and it's matching up with the 5-minute chart. So just a little tip there for you, Morton. All right. All right, just get cleaned up a little bit. All right, that was a good question, Morton, talking about higher time frames. There's a lot of people out there that definitely work with multiple time frames, so thanks for that question. Okay, so Morton's asking, can you use the free version to train on? Totally, exactly, Morton. So BloodHound has an unlimited trial period, right? So just like with NinjaTrader, you can use NinjaTrader. You can use the trial version, for an unlimited time, as long as you need to. And so the same with BloodHound. You can use BloodHound as long as you need to on the trial version. So the only differences of the trial version versus the paid license version is, on the trial version, you can only have you can only analyze a maximum of 60 days on your chart. So you can only backtest 60 days on your chart for intraday, all right, for intraday stuff. So if you're analyzing stocks on a daily period, then with daily period, I believe let's see, what was it? I believe it's something like a year or maybe 2 years. I think you can analyze 2 years if you're working with a daily bar. So that's one limitation, is the number of bars you can actually backtest on. And so let me put this back to the minute, close that. And the other limitation to using BloodHound is you can only use it in global simulation mode. So this global simulation mode has to be turned on in order to use BloodHound in the trial version. All right, so you can't use BloodHound with a live account in the trial version. So those are the only two restrictions. Otherwise, BloodHound operates exactly the same between the paid and the trial version. So, let's see. So Morton was asking what the price was. Basically, just to round it off, the price was $900. I believe it's $895. And let's see, it's asking, can you show the boxes again? The boxes. I'm not sure what you meant by boxes. Sorry, Morton. Let's see. Also, Morton's asking, can I believe he meant to spell write code in this platform. Yes, you can write what's called NinjaScript, right? So that's a NinjaTrader feature. BloodHound doesn't. You can't write code for BloodHound. The whole purpose, or one of the main purposes behind BloodHound, is being able to design your system without having to code. So BloodHound is purely a point and click and connect type of system without ever having to code. So, but with NinjaTrader, if you're new to NinjaTrader, you can write your own custom code with NinjaTrader. So that's why we're using NinjaTrader, because it's the only platform there that we know of that you can write custom code for something as sophisticated as BloodHound. And let's see, let me just kind of go through some more of these questions here. Let's see. All right, so Kevin has a question here. Zach, how do you get the drawing toolbar on the left side of the chart? Yeah, this is a great little toolbar here. This is actually an indicator on Big Mike's trading website. So I found this on there. So if you go to their download section, like I said in the beginning, we're big fans of Big Mike's. There's great guys on there, great information, and we highly recommend that you pay the one-time membership donation to become a member. It's well worth it if you're really serious about being a trader. There's lots of information, great indicators up there. Now it's well worth the money, probably the cheapest, best value for your buck, besides BloodHound, of course. So, so anyways, the toolbar on Big Mike's, it's called Toolbar Shortcut. So if you go to the download section and look in the NinjaTrader section, you can do a search in there for Toolbar Shortcut, and that should find it for you. So, and just to make note, sometimes people ask us, to send them the files, and we don't do that. That's actually a violation of Big Mike's policies, and so we don't, any code that we get from Big Mike's, we don't forward it on to our customers. I know it's kind of an inconvenience, but we do appreciate the policies and rules that Big Mike has put up there, you know, try and keep people honest. So yeah, so just go to Big Mike's download section and do a search for it, and it should come up for you. All right, Oscar, is there any recording of past week workshops? Absolutely, Oscar. We record each of these workshops. So every workshop has been recorded, essentially. I think one or two we accidentally forgot not to, but let me bring over our website, and I'll walk you through that. Okay, so from the home page of sharkindicators.com, if we scroll up to the top, we have BloodHound, and we can go to Learn BloodHound, and we can go to Training Workshops. So we'll go to that link, and you can see, you know, the most recent like 7 or 8 workshops up here. And to see more of them, you can click on this recorded webinar title here. You can see the cursor changes to a link. I can click on that title, and that will take me to all of them. Right? So you can see the archives listed by month, and once again, the most recent workshop videos will show up here. So as I scroll down, right, you can look, there's a short description of what's covered in the workshops. You can also go to YouTube, right? YouTube is hosting all of our workshops. So if I wanted to jump there quickly, I could open up a video, and then I can click on the YouTube link, and it'll jump you over to our YouTube channel. And let me kill that. And you can see all of our videos are posted up here on YouTube. So it's probably a little easier to kind of scan through them this way. So let me close that out. And you know, just to kind of expand upon that while I'm on this, if we go, there's some other videos sections here, so we can go to, you know, for new people, definitely you want to start here in the video tutorial section. So these videos are tailored to getting you started with BloodHound. So there's the quick start guide, the BloodHound interface. Definitely you want to cover these first two at a bare minimum. You know, even if you're good with working with software, you know, still recommend going through these. These will get you up to speed quicker. And then we have a couple of videos, you know, like some theme-based tutorials here for determining trend. You'll see that there's a download button. So this download button is for the BloodHound template, right? So these are template files that show up in the BloodHound interface. That's what these templates are for. This is the BloodHound template, and this right here tells you what directory to save it to, right? The NinjaTrader 7 templates, and then there's a BloodHound folder. And then, you know, so you can quickly load up your BloodHound template and also load up your indicators. You can download the NinjaTrader chart template. So this chart template is the template that gets created when you save a chart template. So this save chart template. So that's what the red buttons are for. It's these chart templates here. And near the bottom, we really in our NinjaTrader partner webinar, we didn't really cover the logic nodes in depth. So we have this tutorial here to get you up to speed with using all of the logic nodes. So if I create a new logic template, now these buttons are enabled, and you can see all the different logic nodes. So, and also for some more support, you can go down to, oops, wrong one. Go to support. And so if you have a question of how to do something, then use the contact us page. So any kind of question, whether it's using BloodHound, purchasing questions, features, you want to give us some feedback, whatever it is, that's what this page is for, right? So you can just put your name in there and your email. We have to have your email so we can email you back, and subject and whatever the nature, is of your correspondence with us. And then for the one-on-one support with me, I do ask that you at least go through the tutorial videos before you book an appointment with me. That way you're kind of familiar with what you're doing. And so a lot of people just, for help getting going, that's probably what I do the most with this book an appointment, is just to kind of help people get going. So if you watch the tutorial videos first, at least you're kind of familiar with BloodHound's interface, and you're not totally lost. And then then it'll be just a one-on-one with me and you. And if you have some kind of system that you would like to start playing with, those tend to be great training tools, and we can start building whatever kind of system you want to analyze. Like Morton wanted me to show how to do this SMA system, so that would have been a great training resource, just to kind of show how to set that up. And let's see if something else for those of you who are getting technically minded. There's a documentation, and documentation, I got to admit, it is very technically written. It's essentially, when you're looking at all these conditions, you kind of have to explain them technically, mathematically. But there are some great resources on here. So let me go to this slope indicator. And so there's a contents here. And so if you want to watch a video on just the slope solver, right, you can click on this link, and it'll jump you down to the bottom of the page. And you can see there's this video tutorial. And so what I did is, one of the workshops, we covered each solver one at a time. And so the workshop titled Solvers 456 is the workshop that I covered the slope solver. And the benefit of using this is, when I play this, it jumps me. Hopefully you guys can see the starting point, but it jumped me straight ahead to where I start talking about that one particular solver. So it bypassed the whole beginning part of the workshop and jumped me straight to the slope solver. So to kind of save you some time, so you don't have to kind of scan through the whole video trying to find where I'm talking about this one solver. All right, so each, let me scroll back up here. So as I scroll up, so each of these solver documentations, have a video link that jumps you straight to that time mark for that solver. And then also at the bottom of the page, I have examples. So you can see I have a written and screenshot examples, some common examples of how each of the solvers are used. And you can click on the picture and it'll open it up to a bigger view. So you can see how I have, so this is a screenshot of BloodHound's interface, and so you can see how I have the solver set up. And then a screenshot of the chart so you can see the output. And so each solver has this example section. And some of the more complex solvers have multiple examples. So like for example, the support and resistance solver. Let me jump over there, and if I click on the examples link, you can see there's several examples. I have 1A, 1B, and then 2A, 2B, 2C, so on. So this is a fairly complex solver, so I gave multiple examples of different ways that you can use that solver. All right, just jump back to the home page here. Okay, so let me see what other kind of questions have come up here. All right, excuse the pause for a minute. I'm just kind of scanning through some of these questions and comments. Some of them are just comments. So Joseph is asking, does BloodHound have the ability to place symbols, lines, or text on charts? No, not as yet, Joseph. That is on our to-do list. We have had that request many times, and we will have that feature eventually. We kind of have to prioritize all of these feature requests that we get, and we do appreciate them. So if you have a request, please submit it to us, and we take them all into consideration. And we do have to kind of rate them as to how many users do we believe will really benefit from this, and those kind of have we give those a higher ranking. Like how important is it really a feature that will kind of extend BloodHound's capabilities of being able to analyze things. Those tend to have a higher priority. So we will eventually. And as Jeremy was saying earlier, we will be rolling out version 1.1 pretty soon. So what I have loaded here is 1.6. I have 1.6 on my chart, and pretty soon we'll have 1.1 rolled out, and that will extend the logic capabilities quite a bit, because it'll come up. 1.1 will come out with a new category called function nodes. So you can do various conditional kind of functions against a solver. So, all right. So let's see. Thanks for the suggestion, Joseph. And so Ed is asking, is this being recorded? Yes, it is, Ed. And it'll show up on our workshop section, as I just showed earlier. It'll show up there in a day or two. Jeremy just kind of needs some time to put the header and the trailer on the video and then upload it to YouTube. And so Morton's just making a comment. I think this platform is what I need. Yep, Morton, from what I've seen, NinjaTrader is just it's really an excellent platform, and because it allows third-party people to basically code anything they want to into NinjaTrader, it makes it a very powerful platform. All right. Kevin's just also making a comment that Big Mike's is great. And let's see. And so Morton is asking, do we have one-on-one for the free version or the trial version? Absolutely, Morton. So we went to an unlimited time period trial version, because we understand that sure, you don't have to learn how to program, but you still have to kind of learn to think in kind of logical terms in order to understand these solvers. And so we went to an unlimited trial period to give our users the time needed, because we were finding out that 30 days just wasn't enough time. There's a lot of people out there that are just kind of doing this part-time, maybe a couple hours a day, when they get a chance. So unlimited trial period, and we give you all the tech support, customer support that you need, so that way you can get yourself up to speed using BloodHound as quickly as possible. And we know that once you start using this and and you get your system in there and you like it, and when you really need to start back testing it extensively, we know that that's when you'll become a paid customer of ours. So yeah, let's see, Bruce here. What's the best browser to view vids? Sometimes they're corrupted. YouTube is owned by Google, and Google makes Chrome. So obviously Google supports their own products. So Chrome would be the best web browser to watch YouTube videos with. But in this case, I'm using Firefox, and Firefox works great too, as well. So, and let's see. Oscar, is there anything done to analyze MACD or stochastic divergence? Oscar, we are working on coming out with a divergence solver, so we'll have a solver dedicated to divergence and that type of analysis. So that's coming. First, we're trying to roll out 1.1 with the new function nodes, and then let's see, divergence, and there was something else, some other feature that are next on the list that are are highest on our priority. So the divergence will be coming pretty soon. So, and just keep in mind that as we keep improving the power of BloodHound, we do increment the cost of BloodHound to kind of match BloodHound's power and capabilities. So if you think you really like it, I'd suggest purchasing it now, because as BloodHound becomes more and more powerful, its value to our customers is going to increase, and we need to keep the cost in line with that power. So if you buy now, you get a lifetime license, and so you get a better price now than if you waited 6 months later, as we improve BloodHound. So, all right. All right, so I'm going to jump back to Edwin's question. Oh, shoot. I see he's left already. Well, I guess I can answer his question anyways, and hopefully he'll watch this webinar later on. So Edwin's question is essentially to have Raven not fire continuous trades if using a slope condition. Okay, so I believe what he's trying to say is, let me take, let me adjust the, enable these solvers on the default time frame here. So I think what Edwin is trying to get to is that, you can see that we have multiple bars here that are, painted. The background's painted, so in other words, BloodHound is giving us a signal, and so this signal, can be fed into Raven, which is the strategy component that can do the auto trading for you, right? So Edwin's concern is that, if you get multiple signals in a row like this, that you don't want to keep firing a trade on every single bar. Well, that is, that's both a NinjaTrader setting to within strategy. So let me pull up the strategy window. And actually, let me close this first. Let me pull up the strategy window, and I will add Raven. And let me kind of go over the interface for Raven. So up the first two sections here, the BloodHound section and the trade management section, these two sections are what controls BloodHound. So the rest of these sections are NinjaTraders. Come from, control, or the various controls, built that come from NinjaTrader. So the BloodHound and trade management are components of BloodHound. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we need to load up our template. And actually, before I do that, let's see. Let me pull up another chart of a different system. And let's see, here we go. All right, so this is a system that we demoed during the Ninja partner webinar. We showed this classic stock signal. We didn't show it on the chart, but we showed it in the market analyzer, and we also demoed it in the strategy analyzer. So here's what it looks like on the chart, and you can see that sometimes you get two bars that fire off a signal, and so Edwin's concern is that he doesn't want to place two orders one right after each other. So let's go back to the strategy window, and I can add Raven down there. And next thing I have to do is I have to load up this BloodHound template. So I can see on the button here it's called SIG-Classic Stock Signal. So let me open up the interface and I go to File, and I can find the template file. Just select it. All right, you can see the solvers come on here. So, and here's another thing, another feature of BloodHound, right? So we left a little description window here. So as you start building more and more systems, it's pretty easy to kind of forget, what exactly you're doing, especially if you take like the same signal and you start making tiny little tweaks, right? It's kind of hard to remember. So you can, so we put this description in here so you can make notes to yourself of what little tweaks you might have done. Oh. All right, let me click OK, and so we can see, and I'm trying to slide this window over. Well, so we can see the template name in here, And I can see from my chart that I am using a logic template, and it's called entries. So I'm going to set my entry logic to the entries, and I can adjust my threshold values if I need to. And then down here in the trade management, I have it set to default, which allows me to set, fixed profit targets and fixed stop losses. If I, what we showed in the NinjaTrader's webinar is using an ATM strategy, so you can put an ATM strategy in here. Just keep in mind that if you're using the ATM strategy, NinjaTrader is not able to backtest an ATM strategy, right? So that's why during the previous webinar we were using market replay data. So you can test your ATM strategy using market replay data. So just for simplicity, I'm going to set let's just set let's see, set this to like $5. Right, I'm on the CL contract, so 500 ticks is a $5 move in oil. The profit target, I'll set a $5 stop loss, so 1-to-1, and let's just throw a trailing stop on there as well. And so back to Edwin's question is, let's see, I believe it's, no, it is order handling. So in the order handling section, you can specify how many entries per direction. So on this short signal here, we have 2 bars. So if we only want to take 1 entry per direction, in other words, 1 entry short, well, that's what the default is set to. If I set this to 2, then NinjaTrader would allow 2 entries short in the same direction. So NinjaTrader would actually place 2 separate entries on each of these bars. But the default is to 1. And you can also set the entry handling here. So unique entries, well, that's unique entries. Yeah, unique entries really is kind of, if you're writing your own custom strategies, you can create unique entries. So that really doesn't apply to Raven. All right, so since we have this, since this defaults to 1, NinjaTrader is only going to place one trade, per direction. So, all right, so essentially I have everything set up. Kind of the way to do a quick demo. So the next thing I need to do is I need to enable the strategy, essentially turn it on. And I'm just using a simulation account here, and I can hit OK. And NinjaTrader's thinking about it. Okay, so what you're going to see is when you add a strategy, the strategy is going to add BloodHound onto your chart already. So you can see I have BloodHound up top here, and I have BloodHound down below. So this second one down below, if I double click on it, which opens up NinjaTrader's indicator window, you can see BloodHound's highlighted. You can see we don't have any of the controls, right? All you see are the lines and plots. And so this tells me that this instance of BloodHound was loaded from the strategy. And we can see up top here, I have another instance of BloodHound. And as you can see here, I have all the controls. So this BloodHound is the one that I added, and this BloodHound is the one that the strategy added to the chart. And I don't need both. If I wanted to, I could just remove this Bloodhound here so I don't have multiple ones if I want to. But we'll just leave it alone. And we can see that we have this fuzzy logic or analog type of output. And that's because I just need to go over here and I can set to entries. Now this will not change how your strategy behaves. All this will do is change the visual display on the chart. But this will not change the entries in your strategy. Right? That can only be changed within the strategy window. So you have to open this back up. If you wanted to change things, you would have to disable it and hit apply and disable it, and then you can go and make your changes. But for now, I just want to kind of show some back testing. So I probably have, I have the plot executions turned off. So let's put that on, and there you go. Now you can see the trades. All right, so you can see the entry and the exit, and let me stretch this out so we can see here NinjaTrader only placed one trade. Even though we got two signals, it only placed one trade. All right, so I think that answers Edwin's question. I don't see any more. Do any of you other guys have any questions while we're at it? It's I'd like to wrap this up at 12 o'clock, and so that's in 12 minutes. I'd like to kind of wrap this up. So if there aren't any other questions, I'll kind of wrap this up early. Any last minute questions? I guess they don't have to be Bloodhound related. Any kind of help you guys might need. So all right, so Morton, you have questions? All right, I guess I'll wait for you to write your question in here. So Bob is, well, Bob, you know the answer to your question. So Bob's trying to get us to plug our next product to get launched here. So Bob is asking, what is the name of the strategy product you guys are working on? So we did mention it in the NinjaTrader webinar because someone had asked it. So it's going to be called Falcon, and you probably saw it here. Yeah, you probably saw it here. So that's what it's called, unfortunately, it's still quite a ways off. We don't have any ETA. I kind of tried to make some best guesses, but it's still quite some time off. We want to get Bloodhound built out first before we get working on Falcon. One thing at a time. So, all right. So thanks, Bob. So Morton is asking, can you draw objects on the chart? So Morton, Bloodhound doesn't draw objects on the chart. So if I bring up the indicator window, and so I have Bloodhound selected. What Bloodhound can do is it can paint these racing stripes. All right, so it can shade the background of your chart, or it can play sounds. Eventually, we will add the capability so that you can draw like a little chart object on there as well. So you could select like this diamond, dot, or square. So that is a feature that's coming. So that way you can have Bloodhound put a little diamond on your chart like that if you wanted to. But maybe in the next version of 1.15 or something like that, we might get to it. Oscar is asking, what version of NinjaTrader am I using? I believe I have the most current version. Let me take a look. I'm on version 7, and so I'm using version 7.0.10, and I'm pretty sure that's the most current version. Okay, some more questions. Thanks for bringing these questions in, guys. Let's see. Oh, Bob's got another question. Is Falcon going to be considered a separate product? Yes, it will, Bob. So essentially, Shark Indicators will offer two products. BloodHound as the indicator, and Falcon will be the full-fledged strategy component. So yes, it is considered a separate product and a separate purchase. We haven't, it's just too soon to kind of guesstimate, what the pricing would be or anything, but Jeremy and I pretty much decided, definitely current BloodHound owners will receive a discount on Falcon, and we will be offering the two together as a package, so you can get a package discount if you're brand new and you're just finding us for the first time. You would get a package discount, and so for those customers that currently have BloodHound, we would discount Falcon to match the package discount. So. And so what that is, I can't speculate on that right now, Bob. So. So Bob is saying the current version of Ninja is 7.0.11. Well, I guess I need to update mine. Let's see. So Oscar is saying, I don't have a strategy screen. Right. So Oscar, in order to enable the strategies screen, you have to be connected. You have to be connected to a data source. So if you don't have a broker that gives you live data feed, then what you can do is you can connect. You can connect to the simulated data feed, or you can connect to your market replay. So you can download market replay data, and Oscar, it sounds like you might be kind of new to NinjaTrader. So they have great training videos and workshops Monday through Friday, and one of those workshops is about using the data connection, and one of them specifically about how to use the simulated data feed and the market replay. So I'd recommend I'd recommend you go watch one of those videos or attend their NinjaTrader workshop on this. And so once you connect to one of these, you'll have a connection, and then this strategies will be enabled. All right, so right now it's probably grayed out for you. So. All right. All right, thanks for the info, Bob. Roger has a question here. How do you print racing stripes when output is in direction but is less than 1. So i.e. print by cell zones. So let's see, how do you print racing stripes when output is in direction but less than 1? Let me see. I think I understand your question, Roger. I think I understand what you're getting at. So let me see if I can answer it. So as you can see on the chart, let me kind of adjust some of this stuff here. Make BloodHound a little larger so you can see the green and the red, right? So these are marking the confidence, or I'm sorry, the threshold levels. So BloodHound's output just has to exceed this threshold line in order to get a signal. So let's see. Oh, there we go. Let me use this extra chart over here, and I'll load a BloodHound template that has a kind of a fuzzy logic output or an analog output. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load a chart template that's going to load everything up for me. And something weird happened when I loaded up that chart template. I just need to fix it here. There we go. Okay, so you can see BloodHound has this, an analog type output, and let me stretch this out, and let me change the colors of the threshold lines, so that way you can see them a little easier. Right, let me just change them to white. And now they kind of look like all the rest of the white lines. Let me make them dashed. And see if I can apply just a little bit of color to them. So, okay, there we go. So you can see the dashed green line and the dashed pink line, right? So those are my threshold values. And so you can see, let's see, let me find a good example here. Well, yeah, I'll just use this right here. Let me mark this. And whoops. Oh. Let me add that nice fancy toolbar. Makes things a little easier. And okay, so what I want to do is I want to get this bar to paint the background. So what I can do, I'm going to slide my chart over so I can see the output value is 0.875. 0.875. So if I open up BloodHound in the indicator window, You can see I have my thresholds set to 0.95. I put them down to the default of 0.8. You can see the threshold line drop down to 0.8, and now it's painting the background for that one bar. And you can see that, you know, the value, the confidence value, is only 0.875. So you don't have to have a 1 in order to paint the background, right? You just have to, BloodHound's output value just has to exceed the threshold, your threshold value here. So Roger, I hope that's what you're getting at. I hope that's what you're asking about. All right. So Bob is asking, Shark Indicators and Ninja should offer a package together. Well, hey Bob, you know, we'd love to partner up with them. You know, I'm sure all of the third-party vendors would love to. So, hey, why not send that request to them? So, okay, you see, Morton, thank you. All right, so Morton's going to take a look at the other training workshop videos. So, good idea, Morton. Thank you very much. And you know, Morton, just to kind of give you an idea, like a starting point, if you go back a couple of months, let me go to the, obviously, you know, first start in the tutorial section, and then when you're ready to get to the workshops, you know, I did a series of workshops where I went through each solver one at a time. And let me see if I can find out where they start. And I think they start back in August. Yeah, and you know, you can also just kind of take a look on our YouTube videos section as well. Let's see. I kind of, let's see, 41 videos. You know, I'm not really a YouTube junkie, so I'm a little clunky with the interface. But you can kind of look at the titles here on YouTube or back on our website. So you can see we have workshop solvers 4, 5, 6. So there's 1, 2, 3. So there's the beginning where we talk about the bar direction, bar length, you know, the very first solvers on the pull down list. But even before that, right, so that was on August 16th. And then the week prior, just building a scratch for system, but what I'm trying to find, here we go. So here's where I would recommend kind of starting after the tutorial. August 1st is back to basics. So this is where I cover BloodHound interface, and I go over kind of common parameters between all the solvers. So that will kind of help you understand. Let me bring up the interface. All right, so what I mean by common parameters for each of the solvers, right? Every solver has its output section. A lot of solvers allow you to kind of set limitations as to what you're analyzing. So this is the comparison. So so you can adjust the amount of your comparison between two different indicators. You can see every solver has this behavior section. Almost every solver has like this indicator A section, and so these common sections amongst all the solvers is what I'm covering here. So this is probably the best one to kind of start with, so you understand kind of the common themes of the solvers, and then from there you can start working with the solvers workshop. And Oscar, Oscar's saying I must have a problem. Oh, okay. Actually, Oscar, here's probably the other thing. If you have the chart trader turned on, right, you might have the chart trader kind of minimized like this, but it's still turned on. You can see by this little button right over here, and you can see my strategies is disabled. So you got to make sure you have the chart trader turned off or disabled, and then your strategies will be enabled. So you can't run a strategy and chart trader at the same time. That's why during the NinjaTrader webinar, Sean had two charts up. So one chart was actually running the strategy, executing the trades, and the other chart he had the chart trader turned on, so he could see that, you know, the trade flags running. So, all right. Well, luckily I got through all the questions, and it's just after 12 o'clock. So, you know, thank you guys once again to everybody, to the veterans in the room and the new individuals in here. I thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you guys next Wednesday. So, all right. Thanks, guys. Have a good rest of your holiday shopping week. So, get those Christmas presents done, taken care of soon. I know how guys like to lollygag and do it at the last minute. I'm guilty. So, and let me just say, Jeremy, any last words? Well, I guess not. I know Jeremy had a lot of things to get to, a lot of tech support and a lot of other things that we're trying to get done. So we'll just end it right there. Thanks, guys. Have a good week. Bye-bye.